Okay, let's talk about how to turn your initials design into a stamp and how to get it prepared for printing. So we're going to make a stamp that has your initials or some kind of design that you can use as like your signature for all of your clay pieces this year. And it needs to have your initials or your name, and it needs to have a handle. So this is an example right here, this SHC stamp. But the unfortunate thing is on this one, it is facing forward, which means when I stamp this into clay, you're going to see a reverse image of this stamp, which means my letters will be backwards. So we're going to do a little correction on this. This is another good example. This stamp, see, it's upside down. Once I designed this stamp, I turned it upside down so that when I'm printing, I have the skinniest areas on top of the widest areas, and I don't have this uncomfortable overhang that might be hard for the printer. So we're going to talk about that as well. First thing is coming up with your design, and you can draw something and scan it in or take a picture and send it to me, and I can help convert it into black and white image. Or you can use any kind of online editor. Here's one I recommend called Pixlr, Pixlr.com. If you go to Pixlr E, it looks a lot like Photoshop. So if you've learned Photoshop with me, this is kind of the next version of it that we'll be using. So if you go to Create New, Web Small is usually plenty, and Create, you can now maybe take a shape, like maybe I want to do a circle. I could create a circle. I'm going to make that white. And then I could use text by adding text. Let's see, change that to black, make sure to work in black and white. And you can just play around with this and get yourself an interesting design. So like this isn't an interesting design, but let's say I have changed the font maybe and done some interesting layers with this. When I'm all done, ooh, look at that. That looks a little bit thin for 3D printing, but so let's say I've finished this. When I'm finished with my design, I'm going to go to File and Save. And the thing you want to remember to do is save it as a JPEG. The JPEG image is a universal image file format. I'm not going to save this because I actually already have an image that I'm going to use. But just so you know, you can use Pixlr to design to do a digital design if you would like to. So what I need is a file that will open in Tinkercad. And a JPEG, although it is universal, is not something that will open in Tinkercad. So what we need is to turn that JPEG into a file called an SVG, which will open in Tinkercad. So I typed in SVG converter, and I'm going to the second one I like, picsvg.com. You can just open this and hit the big green button, upload a picture. And I'm going to go to my pre-made image, which is, here we go. I opened it and there it is. So it was a JPEG file. It opened up here. This shows you the original, and then this shows you what you're going to get. But this isn't quite ready because I don't want outlines. These outlines, anything that is black will be raised, and I want these to be solid. So go up to where it says invert and test out some different ones until you find. It has some weird triangles on the H until you find one that's solid, looks like what you want it to look like. All right, so that looks good. I'm going to download the SVG. Once I open that download, I can right-click, save as, and save my SVG file. So shorn SVG, and I'm saving that in a place where I know to look. It's an SVG document. Save. All right, now I can go to Tinkercad. So I'm back in Tinkercad. You can see my dashboard, and I'm going to click Create New Design. So when I click Create New Design, it should open a new blank workspace for me. And then I can open my Sarah Horn image. I'm going to go up to Import 3D Files. Choose a file. And here I am. I'm going to go to Sarah Horn SVG. It opens up. and import. There it is. It's huge. So I don't really want it to be this huge. I'm going to resize it. Now, what I would like your stamps to be is not very big, because think about stamping on the bottom of something. You don't want a huge stamp on your clay pieces. So I tend to work in inches. These are millimeters. We want to go to Edit Grid. I'm going to change that unit of measurement to inches. And you want to be under an inch. So I'm going to try to work. I'm trying to move that more central, and I'm going to go a little bit more on top. And I would like this to be I'm going to make it as close to a square as I can. An inch or half an inch is a good size. And fuss around with it. That looks close enough. If I wasn't making a video, I would maybe fuss with that a little bit more. But see, it says SH correctly, and I need it to be backwards so that when it stamps, it looks right. Same time you're using a stamp, you're getting a mirror image of what the stamp physically looks like. So I'm going to select, go right here, select my object, and I'm going to go right up here, kind of where group is. I'm going to click mirror. And then I have a few different options which way I want to mirror. I want to go reverse side to side. So I'm clicking this bottom arrow. And now if I look at it, I see it's a reverse image. So now I can work with this. Okay, so now I'm going to edit my picture. I don't really want it to be I have to go underneath it a little bit. And here's where sometimes I get a little mixed up. Make sure to keep rotating this around. And okay, I'm going to squish this down a little bit. 1/4 of an inch is plenty of room. And then I'm going to raise it up. Think about how long you want your handle to be. So I want my handle to be like 1.5 inches or so. So there's 1.5 inches space. I need, first of all, a little bit of a base here, and then I'm going to put my handle. So I'm going to pull a cylinder here. I'm going to use my different angles so that I can make sure everything is lined up. Make sure to rotate so that you know things are touching. Don't want too much overlap. Avoiding overlap is really helpful for printing. And then I'm going to make that, oops, that's the wrong one. Undo. Undo is your friend. Make sure that when you click on different squares, you'll see like what part is being affected. So there you go. I got that middle section because I want to raise that up. And so now I have a base. I still have some space to put my handle. So now I'm going to put a cylinder here. And I'm going to look from above, look from below. Actually kind of nailed it. I'm going to make this a little skinnier. And I can move it from behind. So making sure to look from all angles. It looks like I have a little space there, so I'm going to have to stretch it up, and boom, it's all connected. Got a handle. It's not perfectly centered, but it looks fine. I've got my top. I might actually kind of pull that out just a tiny bit. Just fuss with it, make it look good. And like that. Looking all around, looking all around. And when you have it all set, you've got your handle, you've got your design, draw a square on everything so that you've got everything selected, and group it all together. So now it's all one. It is one big stamp. The next thing I'm going to do is I am going to flip it upside down because I want the widest part on the bottom. That way, when the printer is going around and around and around and around and laying one stack on top of the other, the skinniest part is on top. So I'm going to go back to mirror, and I'm going to use the up-down arrow to flip it. And now I have the widest section is along the base, and I've got a handle. That's how you make your stamp design. Yours can look a little different. You can use different shapes, but this is one example of how you can do it. All right, good luck. Bye.